Hi everybody, Jessie here from jessiebanks.com and welcome back to another video. I know it's been a while. Sorry. I'm not even going to make any promises. Anyway, for today's video I have the Perfect Poppy digital stamp from Poppy printed out onto Arch's 140-pound cold press watercolor paper. I have a couple of ceramic dishes there, a rag, a couple brushes. I do throw in a Skoda round brush in there, and I'm starting off with alizarin crimson. Once I mix that up here, I decide that it's a little bit too cool of a red. So I do pull out this cadmium red medium, which is a lot more orangey and bright and warm. And I'm going to mix them together to get the color I want. So as per always, I start by wetting the area that I want the color to flow into, and then we'll start dropping the color in slowly and building up a couple of glazes. This one doesn't have as many colors and glazes as I usually put in, simply because I wanted the poppies to be rich and red and very, very simple and fast card for you guys this week. It's been a long time since I've done a video, so bear with me with this voiceover because I need to really get back into the swing of things here, and hopefully this is a good start. So I'm starting out by dropping in the darkest of the color near the tightest point of the flowers, like the bottom of the bud against the stem there, and where the petal folds into the flower center, just to get the depth of color there, and then slowly wash it out and fade it out as it works out into the flower. And I'm just going back and forth, adding a little more color, cleaning off my brush a bit, and being able to wash that out to almost white as we come to the edge. And I'm going to carry that on all the way around for all of the petals. I will jump in and do some green in between and things while stuff is drying, but it's a relatively simple card. All of the links to the digital stamp, all the watercolors used, the brushes, etc. will all be in the description box below. So if you're interested in any of that, you can definitely hop down there and look into it. I do use affiliate links where they are possible. I get a little bit of a commission if you purchase through those links. It doesn't cost you any more money, but I truly appreciate it, and it does help out the channel here and my card making journey. So if you do that, thanks so much. So we're just continuing to mix up that cadmium red hue and adding a little bit of the alizarin crimson to it. Alizarin crimson is a very fugitive color. I don't mind using it on cards and stuff sometimes. It's a beautiful red. I do have the permanent version as well, but I like to use this one once in a while. It's not permanent, so be aware of that. So I'm just starting with a light wash on this one, and then I'm going to jump back in and drop in a lot more deeper color. So to get the deeper color out of the same combination, it has less water in it than the lighter version does. So I'm adding more water to my brush as I'm pulling it out into the rest of the flower. Does that make sense? More paint, less water equals a darker color. More water, less paint equals a lighter color. That's how I want to explain that. It's really hard to explain consistencies and things. You just need to pull out your paints and play with them. Regardless of what kind of paints you have, I have a wide variety of paints. So this is Serpentine Genuine, and I'm going to put a little bit of that onto the palette here. And we're going to start working on our leaves and the little green bud and the stems and all that jazz. So as per always, again, I'm going in and making sure everything is wet. And then we will start dropping in the color. So I hope you guys have still been painting and coloring and doing all sorts of fun things. This is for an Inspire Me Monday post over on the Poppy blog. I am blessed that Marcella lets me stick around and still make videos and do coloring and things for her sporadically, because I'm definitely not as regular as I used to be, and I need to get better at that. But I do appreciate Marcella, and I've always been a big fan of Poppy images, be it the digital or the clear stamps. They are both wonderful. You can find them all over at powerpoppy.com. Marcella is a fantastic illustrator. I really love rendering and bringing her creations to life in my crazy ways, which usually involves blowing them up really, really large and then painting them with a ridiculous amount of detail. Whereas today we're just putting in a few light washes and going to call it good because it turned out absolutely stunning. So, sorry, that was my phone. So I'm adding in that green, and then I'm going up to the top here. I'm kind of off camera, sorry about that. That's what happens when you don't film for a long time. Working on those top petals just to get the red started in there and slowly blending those out. Again, it's the same process as all of the other petals. They look way more bright and vivid on when they're wet. That is the neat thing about watching watercolors on a video like this, where I'm jumping back and forth in the sections, is you can see how bright and bold that color looks when it's wet, and how it dries down a little bit duller than it was initially. See the difference? Now this is Green Appetite Genuine. Oh, pardon me. I'm getting the hiccups. I am so sorry. This is Green Appetite Genuine, and I'm going to start adding some of that in and layering it with the Serpentine Genuine just to keep it on a little bit more of a warm scale, but I still wanted that granulation and things that the Serpentine and all of that get, instead of reaching for Sap Green, which is usually my go-to color that I use all the time. I've really been trying to change things up and play with different colors and things that I'm not as familiar with, instead of staying in my comfort zone. I have all of these beautiful colors that I lucked out and bought in a lot way back, and I need to start using them and enjoying them and seeing which ones I love and working my way through a bunch of them and just putting them into paintings and cards and all this fun stuff, because I have them and I want to use them. So I'm working on that, hence why I'm using a bunch of colors that you don't normally see in my regular palette. Actually, I don't think any of these are in my daily palettes, so it's really fun to be playing with them and seeing what I can create out of them. So we're working on our last petal here, and then I'm just going to do that little white part where the petals fold over at the bottom. And I will add a little bit of red into that flower center to start, just to give it a little bit of a red undertone so that it blends into everything else. Kind of like you can see some of the petals through it or whatnot. Once I put the black into the center and all of that, you don't see it as much, but I really like having that undertone there just so it reads in the direction I want, as opposed to just being a black hole. It's kind of what I'm after. So adding a little bit more depth of color down there to that little bud and working on him a bit. I think this part turned out super cute in the end. And there you can see a light little wash of red in there, and then filling in the last little bit of that top poppy. And then I'm going to pull out, this is the Undersea Green. I show it to you here, and then I actually go back in with the Green Appetite first. I do squirt a little bit of the Undersea Green onto my palettes there in just a couple minutes, but I decided I wanted to add a little bit more of that Green Appetite Genuine first. Now I've got the Undersea Green on the palette, and I'm just going to add some of that in just on the buds to darken them up a little bit. I do believe I add a little bit to that leaf as well. Coming up here, some more, oh no, not yet anyway. Mixing the Green Appetite and the Serpentine together. That's why I like having them on these little tiny palettes, is I can mix and kind of play with the tones and things to get what I want as I go here. And deepening it up now with the Undersea Green. I didn't add a whole ton of detail like I usually do to this one. I just kind of left it loose and flowy, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. Now I'm going to come back in with that cadmium medium hue, cadmium red medium, blah, and the alizarin crimson mix here, just to deepen up those flowers and make them a little bit more rich where they're coming into the petals. They looked a little bit washed out and faded, I guess, once the colors all dried back. So I'm just going to add a little bit more life to them here. I had so much fun painting this. I always love when I paint Marcella's images. They make me so happy. I had actually completely forgot about this post. And then Julie sent me an email. Oops, pardon me. Julie sent me an email late this morning and said, please tell me you have something ready for Monday. I forgot to remind you. And I'm like, no, but I'll do one when I get home. So this was actually just painted a few hours ago and wasn't planned ahead like I usually do. But I'm super happy with how washy it came out. And I'm always so thrilled with the way my cards using Power Poppy images turn out. I really try to remember, and I completely forgot about this post. So thanks so much, Julie, for reminding me and getting me to do some painting today. I've really been in a funk the last little bit here. So it was super fun to pull these out, and I hope you guys are enjoying watching me paint. I would think one of these days y'all gonna get sick of watching me paint flowers, because I paint flowers quite regularly. So adding a little bit more depth to those stems and just blending them together. And we're coming up to the end here. I've got a little bit of green work left, and then I think we're just gonna come in and add a whole bunch of black. And then add our background in. I usually do the background first, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to leave it white or if I wanted to make it, put some blue in the background, or what I wanted to do. So I just kind of left it as I went through all of the red painting, and then I'm like, well, I don't really want to add blue because Blue and red will make purple, and I don't want purple in the background, and I didn't know what to do. So now I've got, okay, this is the, let's go back. So I've got the lunar black here, and I'm just adding a little bit onto the palette because I don't need a whole lot of it, and I don't use black all that often in my paintings, but I really wanted the granulation for this poppy just so you could see kind of the red peeking through, especially when I add it onto the petals themselves here. I wanted you to see that red glowing through the granulation of the black paint. That's why I picked the lunar black. It granulates heavily. I find it very beautiful for that effect, but I don't use black paint often. I tend to mix my own grays and neutrals and things like that. So it worked out perfect for this flower though, so adding that little bit of shadow onto the petal to give it a little bit of black, and then adding a bunch of it to the center of the flower. Once I get to this all finished, I go back to the background. Like I said, I didn't want to do blue, and I didn't really want to paint any more loose flowers in the background. So I pulled out the Hematite Burnt Scarlet, which is a beautiful brown pinky color. I had a little bit of it on my butcher's tray here, so I didn't want to squeeze any new out. I had red in my brush. So I just wet that up to kind of finish off that little blob of paint that I had less. These genuine colors do dry really hard, so it took a little bit to get it going, but I didn't want it super dark in the background. So we just kind of splashed that around the outside edge and then a little bit in the white areas, not filling everything in and not making it perfectly smooth or anything, so you can get that texture between like the darker browns and the pinkyish color and the lighter brown. And it kind of made it look really, really vintage and pretty, and I'm super happy with the way it turned out. So once this is all done and was dry, I cut it down to 5 1/4 by 4 inches, and I popped it up onto an A2, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch top folding card base. And then I called this one done. So like I said before, guys, all the links are in the description box below. If you enjoyed the video, I'd love for you to give it a thumbs up. It helps me a ton. And if you aren't subscribed, please subscribe. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.